You asked for it, so here it is. The full patent breakdown covering everything Rockstar's quietly preparing for GTA 6. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. The first one we're going to talk about is system and method for virtual navigation in a gaming environment. I dived deep into it, and it seems like Rockstar built a real traffic brain. Instead of every car blindly following tiny waypoints, the navigation is split into two layers. That's something new because GTA 5's traffic is basically trains on invisible tracks. The city is chopped into thousands of path nodes. These little magnets cars lock onto, and the AI's main job is to jump from one magnet to the next, no matter what's in the way. Lane changes inside a single node are half random. Once a new node starts, they're committed and won't late merge even if the gap is obvious. That's why you get those sudden ugly swerves right at the split and then zero flexibility after. Junctions aren't real lane graphs either, more like a box with a timer, so cars just try not to crash while obeying a crude wait or go flag. The lights you see are basically cosmetic. Timing is the same everywhere, about 40 seconds of red and 5 seconds green, which is why junction flow feels off. And online makes it worse because peer-to-peer sync can spawn invisible obstacles for a few milliseconds, so an NPC swerves to dodge something you never saw, then snaps back to its magnet like nothing happened. Red Dead 2 looks more alive, but wagons still struggle with complex streets, and obviously it isn't built for Miami-level intersections. And this patent is Rockstar's way out of that. Instead of micromanaging every few meters with magnets, the game keeps two maps of the city, a coarse road graph with big intersections, ramps, highway segments, and the detailed lane-level graph you actually drive on. It gives GTA 6 the tools to run denser traffic with fewer dumb pileups, because cars know a turn is coming blocks ahead, so they start drifting to the right lane early, and if a lane's blocked, they've got another core step ready to expand, not a panic swerve at the gore point. The heavy routing runs on a server planner, so thousands of drivers and pedestrians can get sensible updates without melting your console. Your machine just handles the local don't hit the bus decisions. So the net effect is earlier merges, cleaner exits, faster recovery from jams and accidents, and way fewer stuck behind a parked scooter forever moments. Where this gets interesting for gameplay is pursuits and city feel. Emergency vehicles should carve through jams intelligently and reroute when a street shuts down. Opponents in a chase won't feel rail-guided. They can pick a better exit 3 blocks ahead and force you into new angles. And of course, pedestrians benefit too, because the same system reasons about forks and crossings, so crowds can spill, hesitate, or detour in ways that feel intentional instead of scripted. Today's video is made in collaboration with Chromatics, a GTA 5 graphics overhaul that's evolving fast and looks insane. I'm running it on the enhanced version of the game here, but it has a legacy build too if you're on the older release. What you'll notice right away is the atmosphere. Completely reworked weather, thick volumetric clouds, those moody night skies with northern lights, and a stack of shader upgrades that make lighting and reflections feel alive. And a ton of texture upgrades, including roads and vegetation. So if you want to level up your visuals, grab it from the link in the description or the pinned comment down below. The next one we've got here is System and Method for Virtual Character Locomotion. What Rockstar patented here is a way to make a single animation behave like many different ones without swapping clips all the time. The system looks at the ground, the angle of a step, nearby props, even what the character is holding, and then it reshapes the motion in real time, adjusting stride length, foot planting, hips and spine, hand reach, contact points, and where weight should sit. So if you walk up a shallow curb, it lengthens one step and lifts the toe a touch. If you pivot to open a door with your offhand because the other hand is busy, it re-aims the torso and changes the reach. If you slide into a low sports car versus a tall pickup, it solves the seat height and foot position on the fly, instead of needing two separate get-in animations. It's still the same core move, but the solver bends it to fit the situation so it doesn't look copy-pasted from a different context. Compared to older games, this is a big deal. GTA 5 had some great moments thanks to Euphoria and thousands of animations done with motion capture, but day-to-day movement relied on a lot of canned transitions, like walk, stop, small snap, interact, and you could catch foot slides or wrist clipping when the world didn't match the clip perfectly. RDR2 pushed things forward with better foot planting, more natural weight shifts, and cleaner hand-object contacts, yet it could still jitter on uneven rock. Repeat the same mount and dismount shape across very different heights, or reset a pose when you change your mind mid-action. This patent is designed to reduce those rough edges by letting the same animation generation adapt to slope, height, object placement, busy hands, different character builds, and gear, without authors having to create 100 near duplicates. For GTA 6, the practical upside is movement that just reads cleaner everywhere. Walking and running should bite into slopes without sliding. Hops over low railings won't feel like the same hop pasted onto every obstacle. The takeoff and landing will adjust to the height and angle. Getting into cars, boats, and bikes should look right across different seat heights and door widths. Small, everyday actions like checking a phone while turning, swapping hands on a bag, shoving a door with a shoulder because both hands are occupied, should connect smoothly instead of pausing the flow. Then there's the system and method for game object and environment generation. And from what I can see in this one, Rockstar patented a way to build people, props, and interiors like you'd build with smart Lego. It's a kind of procedural generation, but with a lot of guidance. Every asset like shirts, beards, tables, floors, carry simple tags that describe what it is and how it fits with other things. At runtime, the game asks for what belongs here, and the system replies with a valid combo: the right 3D model, the right textures, the right color set, plus a few rules to make it look intentional. If a jacket covers most of a shirt, it quietly swaps the full shirt for a cheaper underlayer so the GPU isn't wasting time. If you throw a hat onto big hair, expression data tells the hair to squash so it doesn't clip. And when scenes get heavy, optimization flags decide which details drop first to keep frames stable. That way, we can get way more randomized NPCs than we've got in the previous games. But the really fun part is interiors. Designers define a graph for a room type, what can exist, in what order, and what can sit on what. Floors first, then rugs, then tables, sofas with cushions, TV stand before the TV, you get the idea. A tiny parameter block then picks this apartment's exact flavor. High-end versus worn, blue walls versus white, oak table versus pine, 2 cereal boxes on the shelf or none. Because the graph is fixed and the parameters are small, the game can spin up lots of believable apartments, stores, motel rooms, and offices without hand-authoring each one. Versus GTA 5, this means a lot more enterable interiors, each one being different, and more spaces that feel like they actually belong to that block of the city. Compared to RDR2, which already did a better job at layering detail, you should see the system working harder in the background, interiors that shift layout and finish, crowds and outfits that match the neighborhood, and smooth level of distance behavior thanks to super LOD tricks that tint and mask faraway characters so they read correctly without tanking performance. Next on the list is system and method for session management in a multiplayer network gaming environment, and it'll be very crucial for making GTA Online experience better. What Rockstar did here is a smart tech that quietly stitches lots of small lobbies into one continuous world. When the game notices reasons to bring people together, same neighborhood, line of sight, you've joined the same activity, or your squads are converging, it merges those sessions on the fly, and when players drift apart, it splits them again. The tricky part is state, because if a door is open in one session and closed in another, or 2 cars share the same ID, you get janky to sync. Their fix is a 2-step remap. First they reconcile player IDs, then remap object IDs, so everyone agrees on who and what everything is, and only then do they complete the merge. Compared to GTA Online today, this is a level up in how the world holds together. GTA 5 leaned on visible lobby swaps and safe little choke points, garages, interiors, elevators, to hide population changes, and you could feel the seams. Even after Rockstar let people run more business activities in invite only, you still bumped into the old session dance and empty blocks that broke the illusion of a crowded city. The session director in this patent is built to keep populations dense where players actually are, move groups around without you noticing, and preserve consistent world state while it does it. Think less lobby hopping, fewer jarring cutaways when you start or end an activity, and a freer hand to stage big moments in public spaces without the world tearing at the edges. For GTA 6, that means Vice City stays lively where you actually are. Hit the boardwalk or a downtown highway, and the game can fold more people into your space. Head for the outskirts, and it can ease off the density without yanking you through a loading tunnel. The whole point is to make the city feel like it's already in motion when you arrive, and still moving after you leave. And just as a quick note, Rockstar kept refining this. The same session tech was granted again with another patent with the same name, so this isn't a one-off experiment. They keep improving it, and I can't wait to see how it plays in the upcoming online. Now we've got the method and apparatus for enhanced graphics rendering in a video game environment. What this patent covers is a toolkit for making the world leave marks and light itself like a real place without killing performance. Terrain isn't just a texture anymore. The game keeps a live trail map around the camera and writes to it whenever feet, tires, bodies, or props hit the ground. On shallow materials like sand or thin mud, it uses parallax in the shader to fake tiny ruts and prints with high detail. On deeper stuff like heavy snow or sloppy mud, it actually tessellates the mesh and displaces it, so you get depth, not just a darker patch. Those imprints can age. A soft blur runs over time, so tracks ooze and settle like real wet ground. All of that is driven by a simple world map that says what each area is, so artists paint a city once and the engine handles the right effect at runtime. Lighting gets a similar treatment. Instead of baking everything or ray tracing everything, they add two fast layers: ambient mask volumes and a bounce map. Ambient masks are 3D textures that store how buildings and big shapes block skylight. The engine projects those volumes onto streets, interiors, and even moving objects like cars or opening doors, so occlusion reacts when things shift. Then, a top-down bounce map approximates that soft light you get reflecting off the ground, color bleed included, and a quick blur and MIP change spreads it without the cost of full GI. The result is underlighting on characters, props that pick up nearby color, and interiors that don't look dead when someone opens a door and sunlight pours in. Compared to GTA 5, this is a leap. That game leaned on decals and clever shading. Good for speed, but footprints, ruts, and soft occlusion only showed up in specific cases, and they didn't always hold up when you looked closely or when lots of dynamic objects piled in. RDR2 pushed deformation and contact lighting much further with snow you could sculpt with your boots, and mud that remembered wagon wheels, but it also had far fewer cars, street props, and neon signs to solve every frame. This patent is about getting this tech into an urban sandbox at scale. Dense sidewalks that keep their scuffs, beaches that record morning joggers and then smooth out by evening, interiors that brighten and darken as doors and shutters move, and crowds that still render clean because tinting and material variation happen per pixel instead of shipping 100 separate textures. The next one we've got here is system and method for runtime retargeting, and this one is tight with the second patent we talked about. That earlier patent is the locomotion mixer. It decides what kind of move you're doing and blends it so walking, turning, stopping, or stepping doesn't look canned. This new filing is the last meter fixer. It takes the move you've already picked and bends it to the exact world you're in and the body that's doing it. Same door open, but the reach still lands if the handle sits at a different height or the door's half open. Same two-person action, arrest, shove, lift, but the contact points line up when one character's taller, broader, or standing on uneven ground. It keeps the intent of the animation and adjusts pose and timing just enough so contacts look right instead of close enough. So once again, for GTA 6, expect cleaner motion in crowded spaces and more believable interactions across different body types, outfits, props, and terrain. Then there's the system and method for managing transactions in a multiplayer network gaming environment. And yeah, it can sound like the session management patent, but they're doing different jobs. The session manager is the thing that blends small lobbies so the city feels continuous. This one is the back office. It runs your inventory, purchases, invites, rewards, messages, anti-cheat pings, all the boring but critical stuff that has to be right every second. Instead of one big box doing everything, Rockstar splits the game into small services. A service for items, a service for commerce, one for matchmaking, one for social and invites, and so on. Your console opens a live connection to whichever service you need. The gateway routes traffic to the right pod, and the services can talk to each other directly. So, for example, if you buy a car, the commerce service charges you, the inventory service drops the car into your garage, the UI service gets a push telling it to show the confirmation, all without kicking you through a loading tunnel. The big difference versus older GTA Online is responsiveness. Back then, you could feel the stack groan, transaction pending messages, inventory that didn't show up until after a cut, invites that only refreshed on menu open. With this layout, updates are pushed to you in real time, and the system can stick you to the same pod that owns your data so nothing gets lost in the shuffle. Pair it with the session director we covered earlier, and the split is clean. The director decides who shares a street, and these services decide what actually happens, what you own, what you just bought, which crew you joined, which event you got pulled into. If one piece gets busy, say the store during a new DLC drop, Rockstar can scale just that service instead of throttling the whole game. For GTA 6, it means day-to-day online play should feel less stop-start. You buy something and it lands instantly. An invite pops up while you're walking down the boardwalk without forcing a lobby swap. Free roam events, heists, and UGC can light up around you, because the event service can coordinate with the session manager in the background instead of teleporting you to a holding pen. Next up, we've got the method and apparatus for preventing cheating in a video game environment by providing obfuscated game variables. And in plain terms, Rockstar hides the good stuff in memory so trainers can't grab it. Instead of keeping health, cash, ammo, or coordinates as a single number at a fixed address, the engine splits each sensitive value into slices, scrambles or encrypts those slices, scatters them across moving memory pools, and then quietly reshuffles them on a timer. A tiny descriptor tells the game how to reassemble the true value when it needs to read or write it. Compared to the older GTA Online era on PC, where memory editors could hunt for obvious values, this moves the goalposts constantly. 5 already used server checks, but plenty of client-side variables still sat in predictable shapes. That's why freeze value or teleport by editing chords was a thing. Here, even if you find part of a variable once, it doesn't sit still long enough to exploit reliably. There is a cost of extra CPU usage, and the patent admits as much, but it also lays out tunables so high-frequency reads stay snappy while keeping the protection in place. For GTA 6, this means the cheap wins get harder, locking health, duping money by flipping a flag, or snapping across the map by writing new coordinates. Obfuscated client variables plus server-side validation and modern service routing is a bad combo for cheat tools. You're fighting a moving target and a referee at the same time. And when Rockstar layers in broader security work, kernel-level anti-cheat on PC, and rapid security hotfixes, you get a tighter loop against the stuff that ruins sessions for everyone else. From there, we've got the system and method for improved rendering of computer graphic models. Think of this as Rockstar's answer to the level of distance pop-in in a dense city. Instead of hard swapping between chunky and detailed models as you move, the engine keeps a continuous dial. It can turn per object and even per region of an object. Geometry can simplify smoothly when it's far away and sharpen as it gets closer, with in-between states that morph rather than snap. The system decides how much detail each thing deserves based on what's on screen, how fast it's moving, and how important it is right now. So a parked car right next to you gets the budget, but a rooftop AC unit 4 blocks away quietly gives some back without that jump you still get in older games. In GTA 5, you can spot classic LOD behavior everywhere. Distant props appear in clumps, foliage swaps tiers, street clutter thins out, and sometimes whole character models change shape as you approach. Red Dead 2 hid the seams better. Its landscapes use careful LODs and smart masking, but it isn't Vice City neon streets, crowded sidewalks, and hundreds of cars at once. This patent pushes toward continuous transitions. Instead of swapping a mesh or material in one frame, the renderer blends to a closer representation over a few frames and only refines the parts you'll actually notice. It also plays nice with the rest of Rockstar's rendering stack, tracks in sand, decals, contact shadows, because you can keep the surface effects stable while the underlying geometry shifts resolution in the background. For GTA 6, the result is less flicker, fewer shape pops, and a city that holds up when you pan fast or drive through heavy traffic. Fast forward to the systems and methods for fast simulation and visualization of sparse fluids, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Believable tiny liquids that move across skin, glass, fabric, and paint without tanking performance. The idea is clever. Instead of running a heavy 3D fluid sim, the engine flattens the surface under the camera into a lightweight 2D map, pushes little amounts of liquid around that map using forces like gravity and wind, then projects the result back onto the 3D model for rendering. Drops can gather, stretch into trails, beat up on glossy patches, or evaporate. They can also lift off when a droplet gets big enough to fall, or lift in when rain hits a windshield. Because it all lives in textures and shaders, it scales well on a GPU. Each frame updates the forces per texel, nudges fluid amounts, and hands the renderer the right specular highlights and normals to make sweat, rain, blood, or spilled drink read as real, not just a dark smudge. Compared to older Rockstar titles, this goes beyond decals and baked perfect normal tricks. GTA 5 could fake wetness and splashes, but close-ups often boiled down to static glints or simple animated masks. RDR2 did a much better job with material response and deformation in mud and snow, yet small liquid on moving surfaces was still limited. This system is built for exactly that scale. Character sweat that reacts to movement, rain crawling across vehicle panels, or condensation forming lines that catch street neon at night. Because it uses the surface's UVs and local normals, it respects hair, bumps, and seams instead of sliding through them. For GTA 6, that's perfect for Vice City weather and nightlife. Think humid evening shots where sweat builds during a chase, then softens as you cool off. Raindrops tracking down windshields and helmet visors while traffic lights smear through them. Drink spills and oil streaks on hoods that actually drift with slope and vibration. Even quick blood traces that thin out as they evaporate. And since the math is cheap, you can have a lot of it happening around you without the frame rate falling apart. Alright, so we've got all the patents covered, and Rockstar's definitely cooking. Let me know in the comments which patent you're most hyped about, cause not gonna lie, I'm torn. But the animation and graphics improvements combo has me the most excited for how GTA 6 will actually feel. If you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss the next one. Links to everything I showed are in the description and the pinned comment. Thanks for watching all the way through, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.